Well, I'm excited to be at Kansas, especially after last week. We had such a great weekend in Texas, and I'm having a lot of fun. Just love working with Rodney Childers and the folks from Aaron's and Toyota and everybody at MWR. Really got great teamwork going on between Martin Truex Jr. and Clint Boyer and myself and all of our teams, and working real well together. And I'm just really proud of the performance that they're putting out on the racetrack. So it's good to be here. This is kind of close to, this is, I did a bunch of racing up kind of this way, I-70 and Springfield, Missouri and all. So I see a lot of faces that saw me race when I was first getting started in the fans. So there's a lot of enthusiasm here for sure.
Okay, we'll open it up for questions. We'll start right here.
SBNation.com. Mark, I know the answer to this question, but I feel like I have to ask it anyway. You're 20th in points, and even though you missed 2 races this year, and the races you have run, you've been incredibly strong. Have you given any thought at all to maybe, hopping back in the car full time maybe for the rest of the year and saying, I'm going to take another shot at this championship?
No.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Stan.
Hey, Mark, Stan Creekmore with RPM.com. You've been a driver with several different major organizations. Rate how this year is with this one versus your first year with Jack Roush, your first year with Rick Hendrick. How is it making you feel?
Well, with my first year with Jack Roush, we were building a team together from the ground up. And that was quite some time ago, when it wasn't as easy, or there wasn't nearly the kind of assistance that you get from other teams and all. So, that was a whole different time and a whole different thing. And Jack and I worked through an awful lot of things together through the years. So. But I don't think it's really necessary to go into comparing. I'm so happy I could just, I'm really happy. I really have been pleasantly surprised with the personnel at MWR. I didn't go to the shop before I made the deal to drive for them. And when I went to the shop, I saw a lot of faces that I'd worked with before at other places. When you've been around as long as I have, you've seen lots of those guys and worked with lots of them and raced against some of them. So I was teammates with Martin Truex Jr. at DEI in 08. And, what we're doing, or what I'm doing this year is not new. I did it in 07 and I did it in 08 and did it very successfully. Was very fortunate to have good sponsorship and good people working on my race cars, and they were giving me great cars, and we just didn't get to continue that, because again, went into DEI, and then DEI went, in with Ganassi and downsized. So, I certainly enjoyed my time with Rick Hendrick. I made friends there for life. And I feel very, I feel they make me feel welcome, still. So I appreciate that.
Go ahead, Scott. We'll get a mic to you.
Scott, TrailerRacingBoys.com, Sports Radio 810 WHB. You mentioned I-70. Maybe pop out of the room there. I grew up going to I-70. I was there on opening day in 1969. That place means a lot to me. What do we got to do to get back to those days when you run ASA, back when Mike Eddy and Seneca and all you guys were really lighting it up here in the Midwest? Because it seems like, to me, there's not a place for young drivers to cut their teeth on pavement racing anymore in the Midwest. What do we got to do to get back to those days, or can we get back to it? I know the cost is a big issue.
The cost is the biggest issue, The cost is the biggest issue, and I don't know. I'm not the guy to answer that question, but I will say that I will say this, as little as I know about dirt track racing, really, they really have something going on with those modifieds because they're fairly standardized rules, which makes it where if you got a car, you can race a lot of places. You can go almost anywhere and make minor changes with tires or a spoiler or this or that, I think, and maybe an engine or something, but and the cost is fairly contained, is better contained in that racing than it is, or, in that division than it is in most. So it's really, really, really tough situation right now when you're trying to race anything on short track racing because of the cost nowadays.
I don't know if you know that I-70's been closed down for a few years.
It's a shame.
One of the historical tracks closed down. It breaks my heart.
It's a shame.
Next question from Jim.
Jim Undershaw, Observer. Mark, you were talking about your time and being in a similar position at DEI. One thing that's different is DEI was kind of an established organization that had already experienced a lot of success. What has it been like here in the first 7 races of this year around MWR as they're beginning to kind of cash in on all the stuff that they've put in the last couple of years? It seems, just knowing Michael and Ty Norris and those kind of guys, it must be an exciting kind of time to be there, isn't it?
It's a real exciting time for Clint and myself to be there, and I tried to acknowledge Martin Truex Jr., who had to, has been there and suffered through the growing pains of that organization, and helped get it, where it is when we got to come on board. And they've been working hard at strengthening the organization, and they were starting to see some fruit. Actually have made progress along the way, but starting to see fruit toward the end of the last year. And then with the extra energy that was put in there with Scott Miller and Clint Boyer and Brian Patty and all, everything seems like it's clicking right now. And yeah, it's really, really a lot of fun whenever you can perform up to your expectations or exceed. That's good times, and for me, I felt like we were going to have to work for a good while to be able to enjoy the kind of success that we are seeing right now. They're very, very good stuff, very good cars, very competitive, and the teamwork is really fantastic there.
Follow-up question from Stan.
Yeah, little different angle on that. Jack Roush, Rick Hendrick, Mike Wallace, Waltrip, 3 totally different kind of owners. Would you agree with that? And what's the greatest part you've learned about Waltrip?
That Michael is a very, very creative soul, and very extremely bright. And usually when you have someone that's really creative, they're a little bit different, and Michael is a little bit different. But Michael is smarter than I realized. He's a very, very smart guy, very bright, very creative, and I'm enjoying driving for owner-driver because that's different than I've done in the past. And I think, I see a little bit of what Dale Earnhardt saw driving for Richard Childress. It's just maybe a little bit different than when Dale drove for Bud Moore, who was fantastic as well. But, there's a different dimension, and certainly Michael doesn't have the qualities that Jack Roush has. They're all different. They're all different people. Everyone is different, and I'm enjoying the strength that Michael has and is bringing to the program. It's been fun.